image I posted of you two this morning. Very.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
It was really good. I enjoyed it.
I loved them.
So let's kick off with post Nottingham Forest, and it worked so well last time. We're going to see if we can make it 2 from 2. Chris, how did you feel about the Nottingham Forest game? Because the coach
2 from 2
told us
as opposed to Ange. 2 from 2 as opposed to Ange.
Well, the coach told us we were outstanding, and I just wondered if your thoughts coincided with his.
I know when Ange is lying as his lips move, but I pointed out to you, when was it? What would it been? Friday morning when we last spoke, that the test will be when we come up against a Premiership side or a side of better ability to Eintracht Frankfurt, and we were proven right. So Nottingham Forest are a workmanlike side, aren't they? They're nothing spectacular, but everybody's drilled to know what their functions is. Everybody's drilled to know what their roles are. They were quite happy to let us have the ball, and we started the game in spectacular form with our vampire goalkeeper, who's clearly afraid of crosses, having another one of those inept performances. But we were told everything would be okay, because when we got our better players back, when we got our regular centre backs, Van der Ven and Romero, we would go win games. No, we are not.
And no, absolute cobblers. And the suggestion, he is really scrabbling, and in his last presser, he basically has descended into, because we've had it. This is like the 5 stages of grief. You know, you have the anxiety, the anger, the loss, the pain, the acceptance, and all the rest of it. I mean, he's now going through this thing where he's mimicking what he thinks we want to hear. So he's telling us we were outstanding. He's telling us that the fans must be fuming. And it's very much like he's doing a box ticking exercise of telling us, like I say, what we want to hear. What we actually want to hear is, I'm very sorry for having wasted all of your time, and I'd like to hand in my notice. That's the only thing we really want to hear. But I feel that he's absolutely run out of time and space and words and everything.
Going back to Sunday, going back to a review of the side. So we had a right back who he inverted once again against Eintracht Frankfurt 4 days prior. He hadn't inverted, and he looked better when he was trying to play the traditional role of a fullback. But this time he inverts. Then we play our right back, Jed Spence, at left back, and Spence isn't a left back. But the amazement was that in the warm up we had a doggy on the pitch warming up with the team, but he was actually absent from the match day squad because of the excesses and demands placed on him on the Thursday. Gents, we've got 8 games left, so he was nowhere near the squad. And then we revert to type in midfield, where we've got Papa Matassar. He's an athlete, he can run, but what is he as a player? What does he actually offer you? I still remain unsure. Then alongside him, we had Bentancur, and Bentancur was shown up. Yes, he did okay against moderate Eintracht Frankfurt players, but Elliot Anderson, the signing from Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, he absolutely dominated that midfield. He was running circles around us. And who was the third midfielder? Help me out. It wasn't Madison. Decky Kulusevski.
It was Kulusevski.
He's not fit. He's not fit. He's injured.
No, he's physically exhausted. Yeah. Is what's wrong with him. I mean, that's at the risk of being brutal. And just to the point, he's physically exhausted.
In front of him, you had Richarlison, who is only marginally better than Slanky. He gets in better positions, but he doesn't take anything from those positions. Then you had Odebear, who I read on social media, people saying that he's a generational talent. We go places with him next season. He's a championship player at best.
Yeah,
what has he actually done? What's he actually done? What's he played? 11, 12 games this season? And to the left of him, we had Mathis Tell. So we never go win football games with such a poor, ineffective front three. But when it came to the coach, somebody explained to me at half time why, when you're 2-0 down, do you change both your centre backs to bring on Oh, Ben Davis, he's going to win you football games. Or Danso, I'm not going to knock, I'm not going to fault, because I think there's a wholehearted player there and he tries his best when he comes on. But there are so little tactics. It's as if, what's the saying about doing the same old thing time and time again? That was ringing true. This is a man who's checked out. You look at his body language, he doesn't know what he's doing. The team don't know what they're doing. The players aren't playing for him. And as I commented last Friday, they took it upon themselves to coach themselves through and to get through that Eintracht Frankfurt game. It was nothing to do with Ange Postecoglou. And fair play to Forest. They had, 28, 30% of the possession compared to our 70, 72. But that's what they wanted. They knew if they gave us the ball, we would do nothing with it. How many crosses did we put into the box where there was nobody anywhere close to him? It's become...
I can tell you, 51.
Yeah, 51. And anybody with something about them. Could you imagine if Chris Wood from Nottingham Forest would have received 51 balls into the box?
He would have scored four or five goals minimum.
You could put your mortgage on the fact that he'd have cashed in on some of them. So it's what we've become expectant of: poor football, no plan, no drive, no energy, no desire, and absence of quality. You look at that side, not one of those players would I keep. Every single one of them can go. We need a new goalkeeper. Romero, his mind is elsewhere. Piss off. Adios. Goodbye. Van der Ven, maybe give him a free card. Fullbacks, rubbish. Central midfield, rubbish. All three forwards, crap. And then poor old Gray, he's been thrown under the bus, hasn't he? He was the one who was trying his best as an 18, 19-year-old to save the manager during his pressure spell. How's the manager repaid him? He's not getting any minutes. And then
Sorry, go on.
He brings him on like 10 minutes from the end. Well, the game's done and dusted by then. It seems this blind naivety around everything focuses on the Europa League semi-finals. But are we prepared to lose 8 league games between now and then? He's officially the worst manager of all time in Tottenham. He's in danger of becoming the worst manager of all time in the Premiership, as other clubs, including West Ham fans, are belittling us. The whole thing's farcical.
What we're dealing with here is it's petulance on a scale that I've not witnessed before. And I'm going to drag them back into the argument because I still haven't finished having that argument with some of the morons out there. We've got a fan base, which to me sounds like victims of domestic abuse, right? I think people that hit people aren't much good, and people that hit women are pretty poor, and women that hit men are even poorer. But we sound like victims of domestic abuse. We're prepared to put up with absolutely anything because we're willing to plea bargain away the reality of taking a clump. And that's why losing all these games is acceptable. That's why we've lost 17, 18, 20 games. I don't know. I don't care. I've given up. And to me, it's insane. It's absolutely insane because we're still going to win the Europa. Get out, please. Just stop talking.
We're actually suffering from Stockholm syndrome, aren't we?
Yeah, completely. Yeah. This is. Look, I know I've got a black eye, but you don't understand. He loves me, right? And the moment you enter into that plea bargain, you have lost all your purchase in the world of debate and sanity. It's absolutely insane. And I mean, you look at the forums online, and I've not bothered for a while because it was just a he said, she said. But Spurs community, which is sizable, if very, very bloody vanilla, they've actually frozen. You can't comment anymore on their Ange monitoring thread because everybody's saying, I think it'll come good. I think he's terrible. And it's going backwards and forwards, like I say, with the he said, she said. But very few people are able to actually have the balls to say what's going on and the petulance. And again, I'm going to, like I said, drag them in. But you talk about Mourinho, you talk about Conte being arrogant. You absolute wet hens. You don't know how arrogance is spelt. You don't know how it feels.
They weren't arrogant.
They were truthful and they were brutal and they were professional. They were killers. And that's what this side doesn't have anywhere in the bloody building, anywhere in the DNA. And so we've got a situation where you mentioned Archie Gray there, and I propositioned the crazy, outlandish notion that him winning that award had got up Fatso's nose? Well, tell me if I've got that wrong. Tell me what's right. Tell me what's right. You've got this little, and I'm going to be. He looks to me an innocuous young man. Doesn't look to me like a cocksure sort of character. And he's been thrown out with the trash. He's been thrown in the recycling skip. And it's extraordinary. He's actually deliberately playing players out of position in order to inflict his will on this group. And he's done the same with Spence, and he's doing this. He is actually out of his mind. He is deranged.
Come on, Tony, you've been very quiet. We unleash your inner beast.
I'm loving the show, gents. You know, you're saying everything that I feel anyway. But the reason why I put down there the entitled Toxic Avenger is because those who dissent from the Anjing crowd and the fact we're so negative, we're so toxic, we're entitled. No, you're deluded because you cannot face the truth. You know, facts. I've said this before, and I'll say it again until the cows finally come home. Facts do not care about feelings. Where are we in the league? How many? You know, looking at some of it was on Sky the other night. Postecoglou's record in the Premier League: defeats this season 17, home defeats 7, 14th in overall, clean sheets at home 2, 16th overall, away defeats 10, 18th in that league. In terms of lower the are you, worse you are. Goals conceded 49, 13th in the league. Yeah. Goals expected against 17th in the league. Points v top 6, 3 out of 30, 17th in the league. Now tell me, does that make me entitled? Does that make me just know and understand the truth?
Well, this is the thing. You see, you speak very eloquently there, very directly, stuff that people can understand. But the people who have a problem with what you're saying, which I think we're all effectively saying the same thing anyway, are the people who can't speak normally and have to turn everything into these weirdo binary parallel universe type situations where you say, all right, you say he's terrible, as if that's an abstract thought you've had. It's not based on reality. You say he's terrible. Who are you going to replace him with? Mate, go away. You're fat, and I'll throw you in the river. 2 different questions. I'll throw you in the river. I cannot possibly... I cannot possibly cope with such intransigent stupidity. In fact, if you were any thicker, you'd be Thick Dundee too. And we all know what the sequel movie was like for the Crocodile Dundee series. Absolutely.
Mate, go back to your analogy about battered people, what have you. That's a bit like saying, I've got to get rid of my current partner. Who's my next partner going to be? I mean, what's the bloody point in that? That's not a question, is it?
That is absolutely right. Instead of saying the relationship I'm in is bad, so it must stop because I'm not a moron. I'm not going to put up with anything in my life. Yeah, but who are you going to get to replace her with, mate? I'll take a teddy bear with one eye at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
You do refer to your girlfriend as the current Mrs. Hotspur.
Well, the current Mrs. Hotspur left the building last week, so there was means and motivation behind that. Yeah. She caught the last bastard Graceland with Elvis. But no, I mean the reality is that these people cannot cope with life, and we've just seen it. I know this is a bit early in the show to go into this. We've just seen it where we've had the Prime Minister of this country. No laughing at the back. He is. That happened. You voted for him. The Prime Minister of this country has just stood up and said loud on television that according to the law, a woman doesn't have a dingling. Well, glory be, because he couldn't say that a couple of weeks ago. I mean, that's where we are as a nation, as a species. This is the heaviest fucking Spurs show you're ever going to listen to. But that's where we are. We're at the foot of the table. God near us, damn it. And people are saying, yeah, but who are you going to replace him with? I'd replace him with a chair. A chair with 3 legs.
Is that because his tongue was so far down Lord Ali's throat he was unable to speak full stop?
I cannot speak possibly at the moment, thank you. Would you like a £10 note?
Well, the thing is as well with these people who are saying, and I've been branding, you know, I've stopped bothering now because you can't. What is it? A really good phrase that I think came from America. You can't fix stupid, so I'm not going to try. Yeah. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm not bothering anymore because you cannot have a discussion. You cannot. If I've gone back with facts about where we are, etc., etc. Oh, you're toxic. Well, what does that mean? I mean, give me facts. We've had it on with some of the responses on our video. Fine, you disagree with us, absolutely fine. Nobody expecting you to be a sheep. You've got to have your home mind. That's all well and good. But tell us why you disagree. Don't just say, "Oh, you're 3 60-year-old overweight blokes," where Chris is certainly not 60.
Or overweight.
I have to say, he's very big boned, but that's not a medical condition, as I understand it.
It's like Cartman from South Park, isn't it? I'm not fat, big boned.
This is really helping. But no,
none of them come back. None of them come back with any form of reasoned argument. It's straight to you're a fat old git. You're this, you're that. There's nothing they can say because they don't have anything to say.
But whatever
they say.
You know where we've arrived, don't you? This is why I keep on shoehorning in the real world to these conversations, okay? Because we're not immune from all this garbage and all this guano that's floating around. We've now got to the point in debating football, because people who don't know anything about football are really, really keen to get involved in the conversation. We've now reached the point where we're saying, I disagree with you because you're Hitler. I disagree with you because you're a narcissist. And you're just shouting out words. You're shouting out trendy words that you think win a debate. And the reality is you're defending somebody who is utterly incompetent. But the people who are doing that, they've never hired anybody. Most of them have never had children, aren't even allowed near children. This is where we have got to. We've got to the point where the people with the blue hair sitting in their Discord dungeons are telling us we don't know what we're looking at. And we've just seen this week, the law has thrown this bunch of mental patients back onto the steps of the asylum in the hope that they'll be taken in and won't get run over today.
Well,
but this guy, the facts, like you say, Tony, the facts are there. This is like that, thing. Whose house is this? If everything's broken, right, and it's shite everywhere, and there's a fireman going to, it's probably Postacoglu's house. That's where you probably are. You don't need to look at what make the oven is. You don't really need to check the artwork. If it's a disgrace, it's really horrible. It's probably Angie's house. And he's telling people this. He's telling people this week that his future's bright. That was a quote. He spoke to Sky Sports.
That depends. When you say a future's bright, as in like an exploding supernova, is you're going to go up in a cloud of gas?
Yeah, it's very bright.
As in, even when you get off the plane on economy in Botany Bay, you probably will get a suntan before you get a taxi.
Well, just go back to the game on Monday night. When you look at the stats, okay, I know stats don't always tell you the whole story, so I'm never a great believer in a lot of things, but there are some very telling things here. 22 shots, only 6 on target. You're not scoring goals with that sort. You're not going to score a lot of goals with that form of conversion. Whereas Forest had 4 with 3 on target, and guess what? They scored from 2 of them. So
this takes us very quickly back to the point that I made months ago, that this is a manager so naive, so poorly, his judgment so poor, that he allowed those moments in the timeline of his history at this club to be the pivotal moments, to be, well, I was happy for Kane to go and I was content for Richarlison, one of the world's worst strikers of all time, no matter which way you spin it, and Solanke, a man without a CV, no matter which way you spin it, to be your hitmen. What are you going to hit? You couldn't hit yourself over the head with a pillow.
What I find incredulous is that he continues with Vicario in goal. And you think, why did we sign Kinski? Kinski's a young lad. We gave him 8 games or so. Our returning Roman emperor returned from injury, and we heralded his return. But the bloke's rubbish. He's crap. He can't take a corner. He can't deal with a set piece. He occasionally is a good shot stopper, but his distribution with his feet of the ball is rubbish. And he is supposedly one of the leadership group. Well, God help us. And there he is with the audacity to be pointing players, calling players out, and the recent footage of him having words of advice to Bergvall. And you're thinking, who actually are you? You're a 29-year-old who lacks the fundamentals of goalkeeping. If you haven't got it now, you're not going to get it anytime soon. And as we've alluded to previously, Kinski will get the arse for it. He'll bail. But the one I feel most sorry for, and I've said this time and time again, Brandon Austin. What on earth has that guy done to deserve being part of this shit show? And it's that whole sticking with players who have failed you so regularly, so spectacularly, time and time again. If a employee's not fit for purpose, you get rid of them. If your tools aren't very good, you upgrade them. If something is failing time and time again, you step back, review the situation, and you make wholesale changes to find yourself in a different position. Not this bloke.
Or, Chris, or you do what should be happening, and it was evident on Monday night, is you coach them well so they become better.
Well,
heathen, heretic, burn him.
I'm not his biggest fan. Because he's a Scouser.
Boy, you are funny.
I'm not his biggest fan as A, he's a Scouser, and B, I haven't got time for people who spit at other people out their car windows. But Jamie Carragher summed it up a treat in the post-match analysis on Monday night, where he says the worrying thing is Ange seems to think they were playing well. They weren't playing well at all. No, and that young English guy, Will Still, the manager at
Lens.
Lens.
Yeah, very articulate, very sort of well spoken. But everybody is now calling out this guy and saying, "What is he doing? He has not taken a single player forward. He has not coached a single player in the 18 months he's been there, and he's got the nerve to say, well, my future's rosy, what, for Biggleswade Town or Biggleswade United?"
It's even better.
Dynamo Spastics are putting in a mega bid for it.
So you're not allowed to say Spastics, mate. Come on.
Sorry, Scope. Sorry.
But no, what you said, Chris, you posted in the chat about the fact that, apparently his agent says that we already got a lot of interest. I mean, come off it. I mean, seriously, if they've just seen the shit show that we're going through, they can't possibly think he's a desirable asset to their club.
Agents doing what agents do, trying to drum up interest. How many times did we used to prowl the dance floors at 3 o'clock in the morning back in the day, telling all the other birds we'd had loads of interest, but if she played her cards right, she could be leaving the building with us. It was the upsell. It's about putting yourself out there and trying to generate the demand. This bloke will not be touched by any professional club in this country. He will.
I think Daniel Levy should
Bungle Fuck FC managing Bungle Bimbo Zimbo and Wazzock.
I think Daniel Levy should announce that they're putting on the Sleaford mods at the stadium. They can open up with "Going Down" like BHS.
Yeah,
because which is a cracking tune, by the way. But this is the reality, the level, the paucity of where we are as a football club. And we've got players that, as you say there, should be coached, should be inside the tent, whizzing out, to use that old piece of Anglo-Saxon. And we've got players like Romero who haven't improved and are now talking about where they're planning on playing in Spain.
Well, it's funny because if he had been supported and he had been coached and we were doing better, he wouldn't be talking about pissing off.
Of course he wouldn't.
It's that simple. And you can see that because he's deteriorating before our eyes. I mean, all that promise is just being wasted.
You can see their stock falling, but before your eyes, and much of it has been inflicted upon them. And I again refer to Kulusevski's season, where he strikes me. He speaks well, so I think his brain is in the right place. I think his heart is in the right place, and I think he's been run through the floorboards like most of the other players. And I just think it's criminal. It's criminal what's gone on at Spurs.
Well, he's not only doing that. He's not only doing that, H, is he? He's running certain players into the ground, and not even giving some players an even chance. You give them one chance.
That'll learn them. That'll learn them.
Exactly. How dare you have the temerity to play first team football? It's ridiculous, and I just don't get. I don't see. I think some of us would go, look, we can see that even if it work, sometimes things have to get worse before they get better, and sometimes you have to coach a team round so they start, playing in the right way for. But it can get worse, and if we stick with it will get worse. But you always look for some form of, you can see, oh right, I can see things are getting better, I can see they're improving, etc. This is just we're what's it? It's like this bloke is trying to fucking ice skate uphill. He's just no fucking good. He doesn't understand what he's doing in the process. It's just
we're going down ridiculous. Like BHS.
Well, I just wish, the thing is as well with these people, with the fans who have the opposite view about they wanted to stay and blah 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 blah. The only crumb of comfort they have is, oh well, when he wins the Europa League, you haven't won it yet, and if you think Bodo Glimt are just going to learn to just learn.
Tony's having one of those moments.
Those guys are not mugs, and Tamworth have already shown us how good we are on playing on artificial surfaces.
Oh, yeah, that's been mentioned a couple of times by a number of people, and it's one of those things that you almost kind of put out of your mind. But it's the reality, again, going back to your facts don't care about your feelings thing, is it happened. And we really didn't we weren't at one with that surface. And we've got all the facilities in the world that you want to talk about at Hotspur Way. Do we have artificial pitches we can play on?
Well, that was my next comment. My next comment would be, if I knew that the first leg of that semi-final was on an artificial surface, I'd be saying, right, from now on, lads, you're training on artificial surfaces until that game is done. Because that's the way to familiarise and climatise yourself to it.
The question is, why is Fatso allowed to continue training those players up to this next European game?
Because I think training's a bit
and if we are going to drop 6 or 7 players from the Liverpool game on Sunday, where Liverpool can win the league, why don't we just throw the kids in? If we are resigned to the fact we're not going to win another league game this season, I'd rather see your Mikey Moores and your Ajays and your Casanovas and all these youngsters, because they're at least go apply a little bit of effort and application. Most of the senior pros are checked out, and you look at their body language, they're not enjoying their football. Nobody wants to be there, and we're just going through the motions. So
who was with Maddison when they were on the side of the pitch warming up that was laughing continuously? The camera. Was it Bentancur or somebody?
Was it Brendan Johnson where they were?
Johnson, Johnson. Johnson. So, just tell me, what goes through your mind there? Because I always have this conversation with people, and it's like, you sound really possessed, mate. What's your beef? Well, you've got 60,000 people in a stadium, and you've got more cameras than there are perhaps on the M25 broadcasting live from that square footage. And you've decided to do something that you don't want really in an ideal situation for people to spot. It's like if you had a medical condition, right? If you were anywhere in London and you had a medical condition, beyond being in a hospital, being in a football stadium is a really good place that you need to put your hand up and say, my chest, because you're going to be surrounded. And it's like, if you want to be on TV, being in a football stadium is a really good place. But these guys are laughing, giggling, and it wasn't an isolated little thing where one person said one thing to another. The camera went back to them, and they were still having a cavort.
Yeah, because they don't care, mate. Because they know they're coached by a buffoon. They don't care anymore. They're not even trying to hide their disdain for this guy in public anymore. They just decided we don't care anymore because you'll be gone soon anyway.
Unless Weight Watchers come in with a mega bid, maybe they're going to come in. Maybe he'll be fronting the ads for them. No, I know I'm fat, mate, but I know much better about this than you do. I've been eating food for the last 67 years. He's an imbecile. He's a barbarian.
And then the post-match interview, you think, mate, all of the hard-working, genuine people out there who enjoy and appreciate football, say it for how it is. But this guy's looking through the lenses of Stevie Wonder. As apparently we play really well, we dominate possession. Had it not been for 1 or 2 lucky goals, we'd have won the game. You think
what did that cabbage?
It's ridiculous.
What did that cabbage? The one who does the metronome thing like this, and he sort of stands there like he's building up for a fight or something. And he said, I think And he pulled some statistic or some observation, which was just, wow, what a really stupid thing to say.
It's a false positive, isn't it? It's trying to make the biggest negative ever and try and make it sound positive. And you're like, oh, come on, mate. You're just making yourself look stupid.
But he said something about we had 87% of the play. I think that says it all, doesn't it? No, you idiot. We just lost 2-0 at home.
And then there were people, you saw it, Tony, that guy on social media who started trying to call us out when I was like, of course, Sanj is responsible for the defeat. He's the coach. He selects the team. He makes the in-game changes. And you've got some baboon scratching his hairy ass telling me and Tony we're completely wrong and we've got to keep faith with Ange, and if he's given time, he'll succeed. Mate, he's just lost his 18th game of the season out of 30-odd games.
Mate, honestly, with all due respect, calling Mila Jedinak a baboon is a bit out of order, mate. Honestly, because that bench, that supporting team is absolutely alive as a brain trust, isn't it? It's an absolute brain trust of experience.
But I just find, but these are people, like I said before, they don't know anything about football. He's telling you to have faith. It's like telling you, don't worry about that Trabant that your grandfather gave you that you can occasionally get to roll downhill. That's a good workhorse vehicle. Look after that and that'll look after you. No, mate, it's a 60-year-old Trabant. I have no faith in it.
No.
The garage are refusing to do any more work on it. And
faith is for religions, mate.
Exactly. If you've got faith, get yourself down the mosque. They are crying out for people like you. Get yourself down the shula. Get yourself down the church. They will embrace you. They'll hold you up like the Europa Cup. Europa League Cup, but we don't, because we have faith in nothing, because it's all evidence-based. It's a results-based game, and if you lose 17 games, the time is up and you're toast.
Well, the thing is as well, one of the other things that's been really boiling my piss is the fact they've been turning around, these people have been turning around saying, oh, well, we're just, we're saying we're obviously focusing on the Europa League, so we're going to be resting players, etc. Momentum and winning habits are everything.
Yeah,
because that's what teams that are winning keep winning. Generally, not always, but generally speaking, those that are playing well keep winning, and they keep winning because it becomes a habit, because of the way you're coached, and the way you're developed, and the way you grow, and you keep doing that. If you keep doing that thing, guess what? It happens more often. It's the old Gary Player scenario. He once chipped in from like 30-odd yards or something, and someone said, God, that was really lucky. He said, yeah, isn't it funny? The harder I practice, the luckier I get.
Yeah, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy is what you're talking about there. So you've got a guy who practices till the streetlights come on, and then he does it in a match, and you go, wow, that's a wonder goal. And you say, yeah, well, I don't wonder that hard about it, because I know how many yards he's put in on trying to get that shot right.
David Beckham was very good at that. You may not like him as a person, whatever.
Yeah.
What makes me laugh is that
to perfect those free kicks.
What makes me laugh is how do our fans watch our recent performances and think that we're a shoo-in to beat Atletico Bilbao, who've got Inaki Williams, they've got the other Williams, they've got Unai.
Nico Williams, yeah.
They've got who is it? The Unai Simon, the Spanish national goalkeeper. They're no mugs.
Yeah.
And when we can't get results against Wolverhampton Wanderers, Nottingham Forest, we struggled away to Tamworth in the Cup. The arrogance of our fan base thinks we're just going to roll into the final and the Cup's ours. What makes you think that when we're at an all-time low?
No, I totally agree with you. Did you have subsidence there, Tony?
I was just getting all excited.
It happens to a man of your age.
I ain't recommended some tablets. They've just kicked in.
Rolling.
But we forget as well, they're fourth in La Liga as well.
Yeah.
When you consider the quality of La Liga, which is which in stages is above the Bundesliga, that's another level. That's another level.
But these are people who don't understand football, and they will just shout Farmers League at you.
Yeah.
Because we're Tottenham Hotspur, with a mighty Tottenham Hotspur who've lost 17 games this season, and the coach is just, it's a word salad.
It's all part of the cunning plan, mate. I reckon that's what they're thinking. It's like Baldrick, isn't it? It's like sort of that Antipodean Baldrick. It's all part of my cunning plan, just to make us look that we're so bad that they'll be lulled into a full sense of security and we'll turn them over.
Is it a plan so cunning you can brush your teeth with it and call it a weasel? That's what he'll say.
Yeah. The same old question remains: why our illustrious leader, he at the very top of the castle, is allowing this charade to continue.
Well, I read a thing today, and a guy said that he used to hide behind people, and now he's hiding behind Ange.
Well, he's only 5'2", so that's probably quite easy, isn't it? The sun hides.
Scott Munn's on the shopping block, isn't he already?
Good. So he should be. What's that man delivered for the club? Absolutely nothing. Destroyed the medical department. Responsible for umpteen injuries this season. What has he delivered? He's done more destruction and caused more misery. I blame him for wars across the globe. I tell you.
I feel Monty Python and the Life of Brian coming on here. Apart from the roads and the aqueducts, what have the roaders ever done for us?
If your house is made of guano and the firemen are charging in, you could be living with Ange Postecoglou. I mean, it is a complete wall-to-wall disaster. There are no. This is the thing. There are no high points. There are no, because every hope, and we went through this several shows ago, and said that everybody's selling hope. And let me just tell you, right? You're going to love this. Traffic, if you're doing anything about Spurs, has collapsed. It's like a limbo dancer's anus. It couldn't get any closer to the bloody floor.
When you don't upload the YouTube videos correctly, I'm not surprised, you baboon.
Something went wrong in my pocket, and that's what she said. But no, the traffic for everybody's collapsed, and I've never seen so many of the big publications ploughing out so much content to try and play catch up. And the appetite isn't there. And one of the reasons the appetite isn't there, and another self-fulfilling prophecy, is that all the nitwits that are flooding the comment sections on forums and coming out with this tripe about, oh yeah, I believe in this and we're going to win the Euro. Nobody wants to hear it anymore. They've all run out of space with it. It's just looking
at the La Liga table. Athletic are fourth. They've only lost 5 games all season.
Yeah,
they've drawn a lot of games. 12 games they've drawn and they've won 15. They've only lost 5 games this season. Their main striker is 4th in the goals scored in La Liga. And we think we've got a chance of turning this around.
This is what I say. People need to wake up, shake their heads, and sniff some smelling salts because we're crap, and nothing about us says that we are going to win this tournament anytime soon. We all hope we win as we're fans, and we want our football club to be successful. But equally, we're mature enough to say nothing about this club is going right at the moment.
Well, I listen. I said it, and it was hilarious because. Oh, excuse me. A couple of people said, "But you wanted us to lose."
No, you didn't want us to lose.
Well, I just want it to be over. I love Spurs, but I don't love this guy or this regime. Right, I'm just looking at the betting here for us against Bodo Glimt, and you'll be pleased to hear that we're playing again a team that are out at 9 and 10 to 1. Now, I don't know anything about this side. The draw is 5 to 1, and then you're looking at Spurs, roughly speaking, 1 to 4 on.
I think that's incredibly optimistic. I think that's really optimistic. You can't dismiss a team like that who have beaten Roma and Lazio.
Yeah, if you look at their accolades, there's going to be no walkover, and they get us in that stadium near the Arctic Circle, very compact, very intimidating. On the synthetic
very
grass.
Cold.
Yeah, you know our players will have another excuse for not turning up.
Well, I couldn't get a Bovril. I just didn't feel right. When the whistle went, it made my ears ache. So
I think the bookies there are I think even they started to fall for the hype of the whole thing, but because I don't see how you could be that certainly in a 2-legged semi-final, how you could be that sure that somebody like Spurs, if it was Liverpool, yeah, you go absolutely, yeah, no problem at all. I could see that, but certainly not us, not a chance, not that sort of level, no way.
So if we just take And this gives us a pretty good yardstick to build us up then to the Liverpool game, where Liverpool are averaging about 1-4 on. Again, the draw is 5-1, and it's 10-1 for Spurs.
The thing about the Liverpool game is Liverpool will go win comfortable, they go win the league. But you're lining yourselves up to be the thing of much ridicule and humiliation. And for all the good work that you've done building a global brand and building a football club, you should be doing everything within your power to prevent that from happening. And that's where Levy has failed once again as a chairman, that he has built this colossal off-field income generation machine, but he's neglected and couldn't give the slightest care about on-field success. It means so little to him financially. But you've got to preserve the reputation of the club. And when you've got blue chip investors around the globe, when you've got potential minority or full investment in the future, people go run a mile from this, because it's been ridiculed on a daily basis by Paddy Power and others. And all your hard work has been undone and unravelled very quickly, because we're becoming a laughing stock. Everybody's having a pop at us. Yeah.
But would you put your branding, right? You've got money to spend in your pocket for your would anybody put their branding on a skip fire?
Well, you'd go down the road.
What synergy is there for you? Yeah, come to us and there's an out of control fire.
Go down the road and have it plastered around the Emirates Stadium, a club that wiped the floor of Real Madrid, and they look as if they could easily win a European competition. There's nothing attractive about the club at the moment. And even further off-field investment, we're building a hotel. Whoopie-doo. Who cares?
We'll look at those based on those odds. Sorry, mate. Yeah, based on those odds, right? I've just been looking at the performance in the Europa League of Bodo Glimt. They beat Porto at home. They narrowly lost to Braga away. They lost to Karabag at home, ironically, which is a bit of a surprise. But you know, these things happen. They narrowly lost to United away by the odd goal. They beat Besiktas at home. They beat Maccabi Tel Aviv at home. They've drawn away to Nice. They've lost narrowly again by the 1-20. They've then beaten 25-2 at home to win it by quite a long way. And this is, you know, and they've lost narrowly to Olympiacos, but then won comfortably at home. These guys are, you know, this is the sort of record they've got in this competition. So to have that sort of heavy favourites of Spurs, when you look at who we've been, we've only played one decent club in the entire competition. You know,
well, everybody we've played, with the exception of, was it AK or AZ or whoever they were, has been 8, 9, 10-1.
Well, look what Galatasaray did to us when we visited their place in Turkey. They absolutely destroyed us.
Yeah.
I don't know what the bookies are up to there at all, because I don't see us as being as powerful as Liverpool will be against us, and they've cited the same prices for both games. I just find that a little bit incongruous. It doesn't make any sense to me. But then, you know, I understand football, and I occasionally get confused about stuff that doesn't add up.
What's our price, H, for actually winning the thing now?
Oh, goodness me. We weren't 2 weeks ago. We were third. It was Atletico Bilbao and Man United were short of price. I'll just double check that, but that's certainly how it was.
I think you could say that us and United are probably interchangeable, but that's again ignoring Bodo Glimt at our peril.
Yeah, I mean, basically 2 weeks ago, all the cobblers about who would win it. And I've gone into the wrong thing there, but that all went. That all went. So I mean, I mean, it's difficult to analyze betting on the hoof like this, but really, you know, it's just extremely oh no, look at this. Now we're back into being favourites at 2-11. With Man United 4-5, Athletic Bilbao 19-20, and Bodo Glimt at 7-2.
If ever that was an English centric bookie outlook, I don't think I've ever seen it before. That is just being completely dismissive of how good Athletic and Bodo are, because they wouldn't have got this far if they were mugs.
I just don't get it. I mean, I have to say that looking at a little bit more detail at this is from Odds Checker, which is all the bookies you'll find on the high street and online. But they're actually, this is almost, because don't forget, bookies round their books and all the rest of it. But the pricing on this is identical. It follows to the most popular bets.
And so of course,
Tottenham are the number one bet, Man United. So I mean, who in the UK is going to be betting on Bodo Glimt to win the competition? That's what must have affected the prices here. If we're being honest,
play recently.
But I mean, maybe we need to find maybe Betfair or something. I don't know, but somebody's a bit more global, because as you say, Chris, for weeks, if not months, Paddy Power have been using Tottenham Hotspur Football Club as a urinal. I mean, every time they do an advert now, you think, oh, here we go. It's going to be a thing about the cheese room or whatever. Yeah.
But we could be facing one of our old players in the cup final. You ever consider that?
And who is that charming individual?
And clearly you two know the history of the football club.
I've been working around the night like the Watergate boys, burning stuff to do with this football club.
Yuri Berish.
Oh my Lord!
He's left back, 35 years of age. He left us in 2008 and made 7 appearances at Cheltenham Town before then going on a career of Spanish football.
Before going on a sponsored walk.
Yeah, played at PSG.
So, was that a half time? Was he taking shots at the goalkeeper for a hospital trust or something? 35, bloody hell!
But the other thing that needs to be spoken about is the stuff that the murmurings coming out yesterday from one of the well-known football journalists saying that actually Ange wants to go, but he's not prepared to leave until he gets a severance pay off. Well, if that's the case, put him on gardening leave until the end of the season and then negotiate his severance deal come the summer. Because if he has publicly said to Levy, I don't want any more of this, I'm off, how are you allowing him to keep the controls of the train set when the train set could deliver such success in respect of a route into Champions League football next season? It's fraught with danger.
If that is true, assuming that's true, judging by all the body language and all the things we've seen, he's either in the process of checking out or he has checked out. I don't see how people could defend him.
No,
just don't see it. What are they defending then?
This comes from Matt Law, and all I'm going to say is there's a reason that Matt Law has suspended his comments on his X account. I don't know. It sounds very fishy to me. I'm not going to debate the unknown, but I don't think Andrew's getting paid a ton of money. I don't think he's getting paid a fraction of what the recent boys had. They were on 14 mil. I think he's probably on about 4 or 5. That's my hunch, guess. It's my suspicion. But his compensation on that isn't going to be very much. And it's strange we get into these situations and people and journalists come out with this. I just find it tomfoolery that they say, oh, yeah, his compensation package. If you want to look at the compensation packages, the Sun published one a while ago, and I think we've spat out about 100 mil or the wrong end of up until Nuno going, not including Tony Conte, of course. But I don't think Angie's in control of anything. He's watching the clouds go by. I mean, this is a guy, if you think of it, Wall Street, he's out on the ledge and they'll say to him, oh, you about to jump? He goes, no, mate, I'm picking and choosing where I get my fresh air. He's absolutely away with the fairies. I mean, I don't think he's checked out. I think he's watching his life unfold in slow motion. I mean, that interview, I think that was actually Optus Sport or something that Sky ran with. And he said, oh, yeah, you listen to my wife. She says future's bright.
The future's orange.
Futures.
Mate, the thing is, right, it's also incredibly disingenuous of somebody like Ange to stick around collecting his pay when at least Conte had the balls to actually turn around and say what needed to be said and didn't give a shit about the consequences because he knew what was going to happen.
But he thought, proven winner with a genuine CV, this bloke, isn't it? He's a Walter Mitty. In his own mind, the greatest thing since sliced bread. In reality, he's not even bread.
And at least Conte had the balls, to say what needed to be said, but also knew exactly what the consequences would be and didn't care and was willing to just turn around and say, do you know what? I'm not going to stick around here. I'm not going to collect my termination pay. I'm just going to piss off because I'm sick of you lot because you're not winners.
But this is a guy, and just to give greater context to what you said there, because I don't disagree with an iota of it. But not only did he do that, but then we had Gold My Beer and the other cretins, people that you would have giggled at school, pointed at, telling us that the photo of him on his Ryanair flight, because he just wanted to go. And those guys do scheduled flights, and you don't have to wait a day or 2 days. You can just turn up at the airport and there'll be another one in 20 minutes. That's how they operate. It's their business model. So that's why he was on a Ryanair flight. Oh, he's just gone to see his wife. You're out of your minds. He'd had enough. He had a breakdown on live on TV. But it was twisted and contorted and manipulated into, no, he's just going home to have a little think with his wife after the game because he's ever so tired. That's why his head got very hot. You're out of your minds. And you're supplying us with the coverage on this.
Mm.
This is a reason I don't drink from the toilet bowl.
Well,
you people
depends how much you've had to drink, though, mate. Doesn't it?
You people are crazy. You know. I mean, don't forget, it was Gold My Beer who told us that things had never been so calm at Hotspur Way, and Daniel's office was just across the corridor away from where Matteo Pochettino's office was. These people will tell you, to quote our friend here, Chris B, that just as night is day. Yeah, they can't tell the difference between the two.
Mate, ask a sailor if there's no wind on the sea. He'll tell you that it might be fucking calm, but it's no fucking good to me. So it's the same principle, isn't it?
Yeah,
if it's that calm, that means there's actually nothing going on. That's what it really means. Is actually there's nothing happening, which is worse than bad things happening.
Radio silence doesn't mean that you're about to be bombed back to the Stone Age.
No.
So that means your radio's been cut off.
So we go to Anfield on Sunday, and we get embarrassed. We lose 6 or 7-0. Is he still there on Monday morning?
Well, the trouble is, we've all done the maths. We can't go down.
I know.
You know, we can't. I wish I'd got I can't afford to pay them. But yeah, I wish we were going down like BHS. What a splendid way to go. But I mean, we're keeping this on. Don't forget, we're keeping him on to give him what do they call it? A parade of honor at the end of the season.
He's like that mongrel that you've had all your life. The poor old thing's riddled with arthritis. It's suffering and suffering and suffering. As much as it's going to break your heart, the nicest thing is to take it to the vets and have it put down. Why are we prolonging the inevitable for?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to reiterate that, I spent the last week of my dog's life sleeping on the sofa so I could help him get out into the garden. And in the end, the state I was in physically and emotionally, because of the impact of looking after somebody who was in, basically it was palliative care, wasn't doing me any favors. And the sooner the vet came round and you pull the trigger, the better for all.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that we're getting with Ange, is that nobody appears to have the heart. And we know that Daniel doesn't really have any testicles because he just acts out of spite. He acts behind closed doors. He sacked Harry Redknapp on what was the equivalent of a Skype or a Zoom call. He doesn't have any balls. He wouldn't do that. And Ange hasn't had the wit and the wisdom to learn anything from the past. He's very quick to tell you that he's been doing this for 36 years or 34 years or whatever it is, but he isn't able to tell us anything he's learned. I would be referencing Tony Conte for the past couple of months, which would cause absolute fireworks inside Hotspur Way, but I'd be doing it to protect my name.
And part of our problem as a club and as a fan base is we struggle to let go. And examples, how long did we keep hold of Harry Winks? How long did we keep hold of Skip? Ben Davis is about to be awarded another 12-month contract. what's that going to be, his 12th year at the club?
That classic central defender, that classic central defender, Ben Davies.
Yeah, we need to thank him for his hard work and loyalty, but realise that is such a poor signing and sends the complete wrong message about what we're trying to achieve as a football club. But all our fans become so sentimental around these players. They're assets, they're commodities. If they don't improve the football club, off you go. Thank you very much. We can't afford to be. They won't. It's like that girlfriend that's gone off and she's started a new relationship and she's had a family with a new lad, but you still hold her in your heart and you won't let go. You just got to cut the cord and say, off you go, wish you well.
No comment.
Yeah. But this comes back to, this all comes back to, it's now becoming systemic. It's been systemic for a long time with Levy and Enoch about the lack of giving a shit about winning anything. But it's also now, it's now almost, as you said earlier, Stockholm syndrome, where those fans who are desperate for anything good to happen will just latch onto anything and keep hold of things for a long, long time. Keep holding on to these players like Davies and whatever. So players like Davies, if it would have any other club, they would have been out the door straight away. You know, as soon as the new manager comes in, bang, get them out, get them hell out of here.
But clubs,
Davies is a player who would be an ideal signing for Leeds United, who have just got promoted.
This is what I was. Yeah,
1 or 2 years.
Because you used to get players like Ben Davies who were around forever at clubs that had the, how can I put this nicely? Because I just want to put it horribly, but had the latitude to offer comfort and resources to somebody who was pretty inadequate.
Yeah.
Not a bad player, not a terrible player, but nothing outstanding, nothing truly brilliant. So you got into this loyal servant thing, and you get them at clubs like Burnley and clubs like Stoke City, and all those clubs. You'd have a player who goes, "Oh yeah, he's been there for 25 years." You know, we only realised he was getting old because his hair started to fall out. You know, that's what you're up against.
How many years was Japhet Tandanga at the club compared to how many appearances he made for the club? It was ridiculous. 8 years, I mean, 56 appearances. You're thinking just there to fill the seat, wasn't it?
Well,
but you could also level that.
I thought this was all part of a project. When Ange came on, it was supposed to be a project, wasn't it? Where he was going to get rid of all the deadwood, bring in all the new talent, and mould them into something special. Well, that lasted long, didn't it?
I think project is used by Spurs fans, and again, because this is how battered wives talk and battered husbands, incidentally, because that happens to men. But I think this is how they talk, and it's a coping mechanism. Because you don't turn around and say, well, he's drinking all my money, and if I get what he calls lippy with me, I get the back of the hand, and I get constantly, I'm having to repair stuff in the house because I don't have the front or the money to phone the handyman to come round and fix the door, or he's broken another window where he's acted in a fit of pique. So how's things going? Oh, well, you know, it's a bit of a project. What are you talking about? You're living with somebody who's horrible. That's the reality. You're living with somebody that's utterly horrible and kind of destroying you, but you're calling it a project. Well, you know, Gary, he's had a lot of problems, you know, since our eldest turned 9. That's not been easy for him. You're out of your minds. You're making up excuses.
That's the same. The thing is, as well, that ties in with this desperate mentality and narrative about, oh, we've had a terrible season because of all the injuries. You know,
injuries part of the modern game. You've got to accept it and get on with it.
Modern game, but also use your squad. He's only used his squad out of desperation, and then because he's the manipulative mofo that he is, he can't stop interfering. There was no need for him to come up with this complex inversion, people playing out of the wrong position, blah, 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 and sacking off Archie Gray and sacking off Mikey Moore. These guys are the future. I don't know how good they're going to be, but I've seen a little bit and I kind of want to give them a go. And that's as close to faith as I'm going to give you. I'm not going to give somebody who continually makes bad decisions any faith. That's where I am with him. I'm out. I was out months ago.
I know that this is school of thought, and this might be slightly different to what's been said here, but I know we said about playing the boys and see if we can give them a go and see how they get on for the rest of the season. But that could also be counterproductive because you could destroy their confidence, because if they're getting battered all the time, then that's not actually going to do them any good, is it?
Yeah, but this is a bloke who's wielded out junior youth players to face the cameras after a drubbing. And he's also a bloke who's played players out of position, and he's not cared. And he's not a guy to put his arm around people, to coach them or to build them up or to take them out of the limelight or to protect them from the bullets. If anything, he exposes them to all the evils of modern day football.
Absolutely, this is so important, and I know we've covered it before, but we're gonna keep revisiting stuff which isn't over, because again, that's part of the therapy. This is what we do to people that are stuck in bad situations. We go through it, so eventually the penny drops. So
Guys,
being clumped by your partner is not, but being clumped by your partner is under no instance acceptable. Okay. Oh, hello. I think he's had to run away.
Just got to put some power in. My juice is draining from me.
Oh, it's like that, is it?
Oh, but sorry, he had his Filipino manservant under the desk, did he then?
I wonder what he was going to put his power into. He should have got some of those. Should have got some of those pills I put you onto.
Well, I was going to say, mate, he's had someone sucking his juice. I mean, we don't really want that. Not live on not on a recording, mate. That's
not on this show.
Go out to the public.
No, absolutely. The public would be shocked to even envisage a scene where he was having his
because
juice,
we're so nice. We're so nice, and we never say anything controversial, do we?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But no, I think this is all part and parcel of like I say, this. I wish he'd put himself on mute while he's doing up his industrial zip.
Fucking hell, honestly.
There you go.
He'll come back with a torch on his head. I've nearly got it, lads.
Mate, judging by his suntan, he won't need one.
There you go. We got power.
Hey!
Viva Las Vegas.
Are your juices not being sucked off anymore?
When you've got as much juice as I have, you can share it with the community.
Sexual Tyrannosaurus, baby.
Hell yeah. Just to put 2 pints today.
So what do we make of the recent murmurings about Scotty Parker?
I tell you what, the problem I had with Scott Parker coming to Spurs, he knows us too well.
Yeah.
We really need somebody from Antarctica who has only been fed on a diet of, bread, water, and the Spurs official social media accounts, who might be confused into thinking that there was a hope.
I think the approach that I would like to see happen is what they've done at Newcastle with like Eddie Howe and what's his name, Jason. I can't remember his last name now. Kendall, yeah, very much a collaborative. Eddie, Giselle, don't. I'm having flashbacks now, mate. That's like Vietnam flashbacks. That is bloody hell. But that approach has worked really well for them. They had some teething problems, and they also had some bumps in the road. But they stuck with what they know, and they stuck with the plan, and they kept on coaching. They kept on believing, and guess what? It's working, and it's worked. And they're two, he's a young manager who's heading up. I know he's got history at Bournemouth, but again, Scott Parker's taken 3 different teams up from the Championship into the Premier League. Now, whether that makes him a good Premier League manager, I don't know. If I was looking at something in terms of the question is, well, who are you going to replace Ange with? I'd be saying, well, let's get some really young, talented coach with a good back, with a really, really strong backroom staff.
With a strong way of carrying off knitwear.
And who was Parker's number 2 at his last 3 clubs before Burnley?
Chris Hughton?
No,
I know it wasn't him. Go on.
Matt Wells.
Yeah.
Who is the current coach at Tottenham, and Wells joined us from Club Bruges after Parker left there after a short spell. So you've got the connections. You've got Matt Wells, who is the grandson of who's
Cliff Jones.
So Cliff Jones's grandson is Matt Wells, who was the first team coach at Bournemouth, and who else was Scotty Parker at? He's done it at
Fulham.
No, who did he manage? So he got Bournemouth promoted. They got drubbed 9-1 away at Anfield, and he left. He got who's the 3 promotions he's got have been? Was it Fulham? Did he get them promoted?
Are you Googling away like an X-rated hamster there, Tone?
I am indeed. Yeah. Let's have a look. Who has promoted? League. Oh, blimey, what it is? Burnley. Blah 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 blah. Who did Burnley? I can't find every bloody answer except you're promoted.
Burnley ladies.
Burnley. Here we go. Scott Parker. Wikipedia, the most reliable thing on the internet. So he just signed. Chelsea, Newcastle.
But the truth, the reality is,
while you're doing that, I'll find it.
I'd posit the suggestion that the problem with Scott Parker might be is the task of, because it's a massive lift, isn't it? It's a piece of heavy lifting to get a team through the champion process.
Yeah, Fulham. Yeah, Fulham. That's it. Yeah,
I said Fulham, and I was given a round dismissive no.
That wasn't from me, by the chance.
No. I just want to
try to get some facts in there.
I know you were, but he was just cold like that. I felt like I'd been shot in the face in a drive-by. Was it Fulham?
I usually just slap you.
Yeah, but I've learned to like it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a battered wife that's come through the other side of all this.
And you usually say thank you, Daddy.
Yeah, they said that. That's the thing is, please, sir, may I have another?
I'll see you again on Thursday, honky tonks.
Yeah, one thing I will say about Burnley's promotion, conceding 15 league goals in 44 games is absolutely remarkable.
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
Bonkers.
But that shows. But they're saying that's a real heavy lifting task to get that, and then it's a totally different task. It's a much more refined task to then sustain yourself in the Premier League, which I think is a bit more. I don't know. It's a bit more like a knife fight. I think the Premier League, whereas the Championship is like, right? How many? It's like Britain's strongest man competition. If you can pull a milk float, you can fight your way up out of that division. But in the Premier League, it's a little bit more nuanced.
We've spoken between the three of us around the potential and the bonuses of Kieran McKenna from Ipswich. How's Kieran McKenna any different from Scott Parker? They're
Zero.
both young men. Scott Parker wears a cardigan beautifully. He's played for the club. He's a Londoner. I think I would be all behind it, because we know how much our fan base is all about projects and how much rope they've given Ange. So anybody who says, no, he's not good enough, well, how does he differ from a 60-year-old Ange with a pitiful CV outside of Scotland and Japan
with a gastric band that didn't work? Yeah. I mean, maybe Scott Parker's going to spoof everybody and become the next James Bond. I mean, he's got the hair. Yeah. The cardigan thing is effortless. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that.
Does he have a pool full of sharks wearing lasers as well? That sort of thing.
One would imagine Scott Parker is pretty well heeled these days.
Was it Austin Powers, mutated sea bass?
Tell you what, though, he'd enjoy working for Dr. Evil, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I'm familiar with this sort of flaw.
The only chairman who tried to steal the moon.
Who could you possibly be referring to?
I put in a mega bid of £1 million.
When you were giving it that, you reminded me of somebody.
So like that, behind you. But looking at Burnley's record, you're saying only conceded 15 goals. They've scored 61 goals as well, so they're not exactly shy about scoring goals. Okay, in 44 games, that's not a huge amount. They tend to win by 1 or 2-0. But everyone else in terms of the Ange defenders has always gone, but we've scored the same amount of goals as Liverpool. But we're 16th. We're 16th. Yeah. Which part of that equation is a mystery to you?
But they're cherry picking facts because they've got nowhere else to go.
Yeah,
that's the reality. I mean, nothing that comes out of any of these people's bottoms or mouths or whatever they're using stacks up to any scrutiny whatsoever. And it's just fundamentally embarrassing. But we are where we are. The season's coming to its close, thank goodness. But we're in for a really rough couple of weeks now. I really do believe that.
Well, we actually win any games for the rest of the season. It'll be a big, in all seriousness.
In all seriousness, do we any longer care?
Well, all I can tell you, because, like I say, my Substack thing is behind a paywall, but the other thing is still out there competing with the rest of the people on the street. And I'm telling you, the traffic is through the floor. And I've never said that before. I've always said traffic is up, traffic's good, because I know what I'm doing. I've been doing it for 20 odd years. So, I've been around the block, and that's why now I'm surrounded by national publishing people who are part of big chains that are pumping out material much more frequently than they used to, because the whole market has collapsed, and it's especially around Tottenham.
Especially so your Tottenham content's down through the floor, but your OnlyFans has never been so busy.
OnlyFans is super busy, keeps me in suntans, keeps me in white paint, anything that you color orientated. No, but it's that side of the business never been hotter.
I never realised you looked so good in lederhosen.
Or lederhosen, as they're known in Germany. I don't know.
Yeah, but you've got to realise in this part of the world, mate, they talk different down there.
You got a touch of the Fred Wests going on with your vows, mate.
Yeah, it's not.
I saw him coming back when he was going in. You see,
I'm sure his day is night.
It's his insinuendos. They got a hold of him. You see.
But it's the reason why all the traffic's died off and everything like is because I think you're right. I think nobody gives a shit about Spurs. The majority of Spurs supporters have just stopped giving you a shit anymore.
So just to put it into perspective, because there will be people listening to this go, you're just making excuses because you've been found out to be horrible. But the Substack thing is a paid subscription. But the subscriptions haven't collapsed. I've still got 15, 16,000 people on there. The people that are paying are still paying. But on a match day, instead of having 300-400 comments, I mean, the Forest game was interesting because I think people were just wanting to see how bad it could be. But we had, I can't remember what game it was, but we had 50 comments or something. People are they're just switching off. And people are saying, the missus wants me to do the garage this weekend. So I've said I'll do it Sunday because Spurs are playing Sunday afternoon.
We just can't wait for the season to conclude. Then we look forward to the roller coaster of a managerial appointment where we appoint our 8th choice 2 weeks before the season commences.
Yeah. I mean, this is the deal with Levy. He wants to delay the stopwatch, and it wouldn't surprise me, and you won't get a price from any bookmaker on this at all, but it wouldn't surprise me if Ange was still with us when we flew out to do some pre-season stuff.
I tell you what, another thing.
Even if we lost to Europa, even if we don't win a single game in any competition before the everything's over, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ange still on the plane.
Not that I'm complaining, but what on earth's happened to Timo Werner? Has somebody filed a missing persons report for him? Because for 165 grand a week on loan, has he been kidnapped? Has he been abducted? Where is he? And what's he doing?
You see, you need to stay acutely aware of the core values at Enfield Novelties N17 Limited, and his English isn't what they thought it was. So his value on the social media channels. And as we've seen, he can't play football for a fucking bar of toffee. So this is what we've got. He's currently having a foot rub.
Don't worry, he's probably going to get presented with a nice watch with contender on it or something like that, or participant.
A participant watch.
Be more like
hang on, sorry.
Sorry,
mate. I know these IWC watches are quite big, but we couldn't fit that on, so we've just put part on the back.
Yeah, we couldn't fit German useless twat bag, so we just went with that.
Somebody's just sent me a post, and I'm not sure if this is legitimate or not. Exclusive. Richarlison was reportedly dismissed early from training today after asking Postecoglou to pull his finger, leading to the Brazilian farting on him.
I don't think there's any truth in that, because I don't think that Charlison could say pull my finger in any language.
I've just posted it in the group chat.
I don't think he could string 3 words together in any language.
If that is genuine, it's just gone up in my estimations.
If true,
Ange would laugh him off on the basis of him doing something. I mean, that must be one of the first things he's actually contributed since he's been here, if it's true.
A methane release.
Well, if that's true, if
carbon
I
footprint
mean, obviously,
like on the
I take it
training
with an incredibly large pinch of salt.
Yeah.
But if true, what that actually shows is that he has completely lost the players, and there is no respect left for that guy whatsoever. I mean, when you get the likes of Johnson and what have you, and Maddison having a good laugh on the pitch, and even on the bench, you can see them having a good laugh. They are not. They're not invested in the game. They're not invested in the team. And was it you, Chris? I think you posted about that that conversation that Maddison and Postecoglou were supposed to have had, where he said to him, "You're just a showboating pony." He said, "Well, it's better than being a one-trick pony."
Yeah.
I mean, when you get a manager, can you imagine if we already know that when the likes of David Beckham stuck their head above the parapet, what treatment they got from Sir Alex? We know what happened. The literal hairdryer got thrown at them and all this sort of thing. The fact they're doing it shows they have no respect for that guy, shows they've completely checked out as far as he is concerned, and they're just there now, just waiting for him to go.
Yeah, it's got to be a piss take, surely, but it's a funny one.
It's got to be a piss take. I know, it's got to be helped.
Not attacking you from a sort of secretarial note, but it would have been helpful if you hadn't clipped off the source of that tweet.
Well, unfortunately, the person who sent it to me did that, so retract that.
There we have the chain of disinformation. Loyally kept going. Right, have we got? Is there any more for any more? Came the cry.
Well, that's a resounding note.
I'm as apathetic as the traffic on a YouTube video, mate.
Apathetic. Actually, the YouTube thing is going along swimmingly. Which reminds me, if you want to subscribe,
take the time to list this one.
Well, I might.
Yeah, and do the actual whole recording as well.
I'll be upset when Ange does go, because we're going to miss the friendly interaction with our Australian followers. I've never felt so loved.
I've actually got to the point now where if people are posting absolute guano in favour of this guy, I'm just responding with "good day."
Yeah, I saw,
because that's a nice friendly way of dealing with them. Because you never get any reply back. You might say to them, "How did you come to that point? What's on your mind? Talk to me." Silence. Well, they're probably asleep because they only get to access to the internet in Australian prisons for 2 hours a day. So it's it's not an easy gig. Right.
So Sunday, mate. What do you reckon Sunday?
Big.
I reckon we're going to get gang banged 5-1.
We're going down like BHS. I would say 3 or 4-0. And so anybody who says, well, sell furniture, back a Liverpool win, because it'll be free money.
I'll tell you, the thing is, I think we'll still score against them. I actually think we'll score against Liverpool, because Liverpool, they're going to win the league, but they're winning the league by, when they played well in fits, but they haven't been outstanding. A lot of other teams have fallen away quite a bit. They've just been not as worse as other people, as other teams. So I still think we'll probably score one, but it'll be one against many. That's what I reckon.
And on that bombshell, subscribe if you want to get more on a regular basis. Hit like, because that's the friendly thing to do. And we'll see you again soon. Good luck for now, and keep it Tottenham. That's what they call the end. Tony being very